Here's a challenge that crawl spaces have when they're using partial moisture barrier. It just causes condensation to form, keeping the soil wet, and then it just sneaks on over here to the dry area, or the unexposed area, leaving mineral deposits, creating an area for microbial growth and rising the humidity level in the crawl space. Here we have mold growing on the joists, and let's see if it goes above. And in this case it does. There's some bugs, and there's a different type of mold that goes up higher. That's a white rot mold. It likes it because there's more moisture there. Today's not a very hot day, but still we get pools of water from moisture coming off the ducts, and this moisture also gets the crawl space so that a dew point will occur on the insulation, and that's why the insulation starts to fall down. And as that insulation gets wet, then it transfers the moisture to the wood and causes mold to grow. Here's an example of where the insulation is reaching dew point and water is actually forming on the insulation. It's transferring that moisture into the wood and causing mold to grow. Different types of mold. Here's one that grabs the water from here, but yet the mold might be up in a different place where it's getting the nutrients. And then these holes in the insulation may be caused by rodents, and the homeowner in this house was complaining of mice in the home. And here you can see the condensation forming on the bottom of these air ducts. Here's a classic example of why we don't like partial moisture barriers. These moisture barriers accumulate water underneath the barrier. That water gets transferred to the outer edges, and it becomes a fantastic place for bacteria and mold to grow. And when the bacteria and the mold start fighting for real estate is when there starts to be a release of chemicals, and those aflatoxins can be carcinogenic. One of the concerns we have with closing up a crawl space is that if there is a gas leak, and you can see how all these fittings are rusted, that then we no longer have the dilution, and so there's a potential for gas to build up. Here's an example of condensation forming on the air ducts and then dripping on the plastic. This discoloration, this line on the crawl space moisture barrier, is because the air ducts on occasion sweat and they drip on down onto that line. Another thing to see is this flood water line. You can see how down here the water line is higher, indicating the low spot in the crawl space. Good place to have a drain. This may be a record in Raleigh as far as one of the longest condensation lines. This thing goes on forever. This probably goes to the upstairs unit. The trouble with this is that this is not under pressure, so it clogs really easy. This may be a central vac line that is improperly supported. Here's mold extensively on the incoming electrical wires. This area has been excavated, and you can see the discoloration in the soil. It's wetter, and then the flooding that has occurred on the moisture barrier. Very low, difficult in here to work. And there, a bunch of debris coming in the foundation vent. Here's a moisture barrier that is actually collecting or causing moisture to form. So we're reaching dew point on this plastic. And sure enough, we have mold on the wood up above. Here's a plumbing discharge, maybe to a toilet, that looks like it still has a little bit of moisture there. So there may be a leak in this toilet that's causing this wood rot.